Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr. Sitole, and I'm with Mr. Walter. Today, we're going to be discussing DNA and RNA. I will be discussing DNA in detail, and Mr. Walter will be discussing RNA. DNA is an important component of any living organism. It is located in the nucleus and in the ribosome. Because DNA is an important component of any living organism, it means that all living organisms have DNA. These include animals, plants, and so on. The structure of DNA. DNA is composed of nucleotides, which are the building blocks, smaller building blocks of any nucleic acid. But today I'm gonna talk about the nucleotide of DNA, not of RNA. And this DNA that I'm talking about, it is also a double helix molecule. I'm going to discuss that in more detail, and it is a polynucleotide. Components of a nucleotide. A nucleotide contains a phosphate group and a sugar deoxyribose and a nitrogenous base. This could either be cytosine, adenine, or thymine, or even guanine. And this sugar that is contained in the DNA, it's called deoxyribose, as it lacks one oxygen molecule. Moving on, it is a double helix because it is so called because the two polynucleotide strands wound around each other. The strands of DNA double helix are antiparallel with each other. That one runs in 5 to 3 end and the other runs in 3 to 5 end. And this, when you look at the diagram on the right hand side, the hydrogen bond, the base pairs, they are bonded by what you call a weak hydrogen bond. It is weak because that during replication, the bond has to be easily broken. If it was a harder bond, it was going to be difficult and inefficient of the process. Therefore, it has to be a weak hydrogen bond. Moving along, it is a polynucleotide. DNA is made up of repeating nucleotides that are connected by hydrogen bond. It is in different sequences, and a short segment of DNA, it is called a gene. A gene is responsible for characteristics and inheritance from one organism to the other, like hair color, eye color, and so on. Moving on, the chemical structure of DNA. DNA contains on the structural form, on the 5 end, there is what you call a phosphate group that alternates with a sugar and in turn alternates with a nitrogenous base, like over here. And the 5 end and 3 end means that it is a 5 prime and 3 prime. 5 prime means that it is bonded, like here it is bonded with a phosphate group, and at 3 end there is an OH group at the end. Alright, so this is the basic that you have to know about the structure of DNA. And we have adenine and guanine. Adenine and guanine are what we call a pyrimidines, and a thymine and a cytosine are what we call pyrimidines. There are purines and pyrimidines. The function of DNA: they carry hereditary information about the organism. Like for example, hair color in this picture is passed from father and mother to children. It also codes for protein, and it also codes for information for protein synthesis. As a result, cell division and other cell functions. DNA replication is a process by which double-stranded DNA is copied to reproduce two identical molecules. This is according to the definition of nature.com. Right. Over here we have a diagram showing how does the process begin and some of the enzymes that are responsible for the for replication. Excuse me. Helicase is the first protein that is responsible, an enzyme that is responsible. It separates the strand of DNA into single strand, allowing each strand to be copied. Alright. And after it has been separated, after it has been separated, what we call an SSB attaches and prevents these two strands from reforming the helix, right? After that, DNA replication initiates at a point called the origin, right? Moving along. Like for example, it says okay, let's move along then. When you look at that diagram, it says the origin of replication. Over here, DNA primase adds DNA primer. Then this primer serves as a starting point for DNA replication. And over here, this trend that is going towards the replication fork, this is what we call the leading strand, and the strand that is going away from, that's moving away from the replication fork, we call it the lagging strand. Okay, moving on. This is another example of how this process takes place. Okay, because when the DNA separates, it forms two strands, the leading and the lagging strand. On the leading strand, as we know that DNA replicates from 5' to 3', right? On this, as it opens on the side, like on the side, it is easier for DNA polymerase to build up more, put in more nucleotide to form a continuous strand of DNA. But on this side, it is more difficult. Therefore, the DNA segments are put in short segment called the Okazaki fragment from 5' to 3' in this direction. Okay, and this is another example of the process of DNA replication. Yes, another example. Okay, and that's about it. This is where Mr. Walter come in. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are the nucleotides. I am the RNA, and my homie is the DNA. Right now I'm going to be talking about transcription and translation. So transcription, what you should know, it takes place inside the nucleus, and then translation takes place on the cytoplasm. So as I said, it takes place inside the nucleus of the cell, and then that's whereby DNA is transcribed into mRNA, ribosomal RNA, and transfer RNA. So although these things takes place in the nucleus from DNA, right now we're going to be discussing the production of messenger RNA. So transcriptions begins when RNA promoters attaches to the region of DNA called promoters. So the RNA polymerase breaks down the DNA template from 5 to 3' direction and then stop the sequence. Then the RNA is transcribed from DNA. Note that during transcription, uracil is actually replacing thymine. So now we have new base pairs, which is adenine, guanine, cytosine, and uracil. Then thymine goes away, and then a new form RNA is called pre-RNA. It has to be modified before leaving the cell. So what happens during the modification, that's whereby it receives the cap at 5', which is I think it's guanine, and then that tells the ribosomes where to attach when it goes to the cytoplasm, and then it receives the tail at the 3 ends. This tail facilitates the mRNA for transport. So that when it goes into when it goes to the ribosomes into the cytoplasm. Oh, let's continue. After the mRNA is produced, this RAF mixed with exon and introns. So introns has to be split out by spliceosome, and an exon remains into the RNA, because exons, they actually code for protein, and then introns that we code for protein, so they have to fade away, they have to go away, and then we have our mRNA, messenger RNA with exon, So I actually put a diagram here to actually demonstrate to you very well. You can see the production of an mRNA comes from a DNA. You see, after it actually replicated, you see the RNA polymerase attached to the promoter, and then the mRNA is actually formed. By the way, this is DNA, whereby it's unwide, doesn't matter here. Yeah, and then you see the 5 ends of mRNAs moving out. So as we continue, this is another demonstration. This is actually another demonstration for transcription. So you see the replication. You see the RNA polymerase. Actually, it does the same function with like a DNA polymerase, So as soon as RNA polymerase attaches to the promoter, the transcription begins, Yeah, man. So yeah, and then you see the exons and the introns that I was talking about. Look here. These are the introns. These things have to go away, and then this one, they code for protein, so they remain into the mRNA, you see? So now our mRNA is fine now with exons, okay? So now it can actually go outside the nucleus into the cytoplasm. So as we continue, we go to translation. Translation, you obviously know what translation is. Like we have translators which can speak 2 languages, translating Tswana to English, Afrikaans to Spedi, Yeah. Translation happens outside the cytoplasm. Remember, transcriptions happens inside the nucleus. So for it to take place, it requires mRNA, tRNA, and ribosomal RNA. That is whereby tRNA, amino acids. That is where tRNA transfer amino acids into the ribosomes, and then polypeptide bonds are formed. As soon as transfer RNA, transfer amino acids, peptide bonds are formed, and then mRNA has codons, and then tRNA has anticodons. We have three RNAs. It's ribosomal RNA, it's transfer RNA, it's messenger RNA. So these ones, they as I was saying, we have tRNA, rRNA, and mRNA. So this one, tRNA has anticodons, and then this one has codons. So they match each other. They actually bind to each other on the ribosomal, on the ribosomes. Okay, you see, the messenger RNA has codons, and then tRNA has anticodons. These ones carry amino acids. Remember, this one carries amino acids, and then they bind into this one. This one determines the sequence of amino acids. So the ribosomes allows tRNA and mRNA to actually bind or code on it and form polypeptides. They bind on the ribosomes in the cytoplasm. Translation. How does it take place? Let's start with the initiation stage. That's whereby a small ribosomal unit attaches to the mRNA, which is a messenger RNA, and then the large ribosomal units join the small units, you know. So, and then ribosomes has 3 bindings. It has 3 bindings. We have P site, which is peptide. We have A site, which is amino acid. We have E site, which is exit site. So this site is whereby tRNA binds after when it transfers amino acids, you know. So small ribosomal units attached to the mRNA, and then the first amino acid, which is actually a binds, it actually become attached on the peptide, and then the large ribosomal joins the units. Then the tRNA binds to P site, bringing amino acid methionine, which is AUG. And then on the elongation stage, which is the second stage of translation, is the stage during protein synthesis whereby polypeptide increases in length one amino acid at a time. When amino acid comes, polypeptides actually increase. They increase. Another amino acid comes, the peptide increase. They actually bounded together by the peptide bond, you know, the amino acids, you know. So while the amino acids are being transferred from peptide site P, A site amino acid and exit sites, the polypeptide is formed, created by a large ribosomal unit. It continues like that, transferring amino acid until it reaches a stop code. So this is the DNA, starts from the 5' to 3' and then this is a messenger RNA, and then this is transfer RNA. So you see this thing binds, this one transmit amino acids here, you know. So for example, this one is called methionine. This is the first amino acid. You see, you just look at this genetic code table, and then you see AUG methionine, and then you write the amino acids. It depends according to which anticodons they have, and then you write amino acids for them, because it transmits amino acid, transfer RNA. And then termination, which is the last stage. During this stage, polypeptides and components that carry protein synthesis are separated, meaning they go different ways. It occurs at the stop codon. So a codon that does not code for amino acids. Okay, and then termination requires a protein called factor that binds and stops and the cleaves from the last RNA. So it requires this protein that calls factor. It binds. This protein binds on the codons, you know, because there's no amino acids for that can code with that. That's the stop site. Remember the methionine, the one that starts, it has the start and then it has the end. Translation has the start and the stop. And then after polypeptide begins, after this process, after what happened here, after the stop sign, after this thing have gone separate ways, the components and polypeptides are formed. So now polypeptides begins to fold into and takes its own three-dimensional shape. They take three-dimensional shape, and ribosomes deassociate and send to the cytoplasmatic pool of subunits. Sorry for the slip of the tongue. So as soon as this polypeptides bend, as soon as they form three-dimensional shape, they become proteins, and then proteins from polypeptides do the work of the cell. So, thank you for your time, guys, and sorry for the slip of the tongue, you know. Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed that lesson.